Welcome back to The Explainer. We are jumping straight into what was a wildly unpredictable first round at the 2026 Open Championship at Royal Birkdale. Seriously, we're unpacking some fascinating, completely contrasting stories straight from the tournament data. Thursday literally ripped up the script everyone expected heading into the week.
I mean, think about it. What happens when golf's biggest wildcard absolutely defies his critics, right when the reigning Masters champion stumbles? We're looking at a stark contrast between Bryson DeChambeau and Rory McIlroy here. It perfectly highlights that beautifully counterintuitive nature of golf. You've got the struggling wildcard on one hand and the heavy favorite on the other. If you looked at the form guides coming into this week, well, their trajectories seemed set in stone. But you know golf. It rarely cares about the script you've written for it. It throws these logic-defying variables at players, and man, that is exactly what we witnessed in round one.
The stage for all this drama? Royal Birkdale. And let me tell you, the R&A set up a course that was as baked out, firm, fast, and unforgiving as they could ever hope for. But to really grasp what happened on Thursday, you've got to understand that Birkdale basically played like two entirely different golf courses. It was a somewhat benign track for the morning wave and an absolute beast in the afternoon. Depending on your exact tee time, you were either playing a manageable layout or literally fighting for survival against the turf itself.
Okay, let's move into part one, the mad scientist returns, and take a look at Bryson's resurgence.
So, Bryson DeChambeau. He came into this week in a deep slump, having missed the cut at the first three majors of the year. He missed by 2 at the Masters, 3 at the PGA, and 1 at the US Open. And instead of grinding on a traditional links course to prep for Birkdale, what does he do? He's out making YouTube videos at the Shaggy Northwood Golf Club out in California. He even put out a 30-minute self-analysis video where he was just scratching his head, wondering how things could get worse. He promised his fans he just needed to make better decisions, but honestly, nobody really knew what to expect when he touched down in England.
And because of that highly unorthodox prep, the pundits were out for blood. Brandel Chamblee accused him of chasing YouTubers instead of outplaying the game's best. But Nick Faldo? He delivered the harshest blow of all, brutally questioning Bryson's entire golf IQ, basically saying he has zero clue of strategy. It was just a chorus of negativity heading into his Thursday tee time. I mean, when a respected major champion openly says you have no strategy, the pressure to respond on the course is immense.
But the mad scientist had a secret weapon in the bag, custom USGA-approved 3D printed irons. He dabbled with a 3D printed 5-iron back at the Masters, but now he is rocking the full set. And get this, it takes exactly 9 hours to print a full set of these clubs. 9 hours. He can take an idea from a CAD file to a fully printed machine set of irons in literally a matter of days. It's this wild clash of modern tech meeting traditional links golf. Showing up at an Open Championship relying on something essentially printed right before the tournament, that is quintessential Bryson for sure.
Defying all those low expectations, Bryson goes out and shoots a brilliant 3-under 67, vaulting right near the top of the leaderboard. But here's the kicker, the truly unbelievable part. He did this despite hitting only 4 of 14 fairways. Normally, that's a guaranteed recipe for a missed cut at an Open Championship. Yet leaning heavily on those new irons, he managed 5 birdies to navigate the baked-out rough in the calmer morning air. Hitting out of thick fescue usually spells doom, but his raw power and those custom irons, they somehow cracked the code.
And the aftermath brilliantly illustrates his triumphant pettiness. Post-round, he actually declined questions from the general media, opting to speak exclusively to an R&A official. And notice his exact wording here. He intentionally dropped the words strategic and strategy while glaring right into the camera. It was a direct, pointed answer to Sir Nick Faldo's criticism. An absolute masterclass in clapping back without ever naming names. He knew exactly what he was doing, letting that 67 and his carefully chosen vocabulary do all the heavy lifting.
Now let's flip the script to part 2. Rory's putting nightmares, and see how the afternoon wave built a completely different narrative for a massive favorite.
You see, Rory had the incredible misfortune of the afternoon draw. While Bryson enjoyed that gentler morning breeze, Rory stepped up facing a freshening wind and greens that had become, frankly, impossible to read. According to Rory, some patches were still alive and growing, while other parts had been baked completely dead by the sun. It created a highly unpredictable putting surface right as the wind really started bearing down. That's the ultimate links test, right? Where the actual biology of the grass turns into your toughest opponent as the day goes on.
Those brutal afternoon conditions completely magnified Rory's putting woes, leading to a truly agonizing stretch of golf. Looking at the data, it's painful to even comprehend.
He missed 3 separate 4-footers in the space of just 4 holes. On top of that, he stuffed an approach to tap-in range on hole 9, only to miss that birdie effort too. The flat stick just completely abandoned him when he needed it most. For a player of his caliber, experiencing that kind of localized yips in front of a global audience, purely maddening.
Rory actually compared these highly inconsistent Birkdale greens to Pebble Beach during a U.S. Open, which is a venue notorious for bumpy, crusty conditions late in the day. He explained how incredibly hard it was to stay committed to a line after those repeated short misses. I mean, when the greens are that unpredictable, every 4-footer starts to feel like a 40-footer. It completely derailed his momentum. You stop trusting your eyes, you lose trust in your stroke, and eventually that doubt just seeps into every other part of your game.
So the crucial takeaway here is that Rory, a guy who ended an 11th majorless streak by winning the 2025 Masters and then successfully defended it, now finds himself trailing the leader by 7 massive shots after a 2-over par 72. And the most frustrating part? He drove the ball incredibly well. He even managed birdies on 13, 15, and 18, but those short misses early on just put him in a deep, deep hole. It just proves that you can stripe it beautifully off the tee, but if your putter is cold, a links course will eat you alive.
Which brings us to part 3, surviving the Friday cut, because the stakes at Birkdale are incredibly high right now. To really understand the tension, you have to look at the strict cut rule at the Open Championship. The Masters allows the top 50, the US Open takes 60, but the Open Championship only brings the top 70 lowest scores and ties to the weekend. And crucially, there is absolutely no 10-stroke rule here. That means even if a player is within 10 shots of the lead, if they fall outside that top 70, they're done. No safety nets. You either play your way into the weekend or you are booking a flight home on Friday night.
And historical data shows us just how brutal this cut line can get. Think back to the last time Birkdale hosted the Open in 2017. The cut line settled all the way at +5. We even saw +6 at Royal Troon in 2024. Links golf demands a heavy toll when the wind blows and the fairways bake. It's a completely different brand of the sport where pars are celebrated like eagles and bogeys are just the cost of doing business.
Looking at the current projections from Data Golf, the cut will likely fall around +2, which currently holds nearly a 39% probability. This means stars like Rory McIlroy, who is sitting exactly on that +2 number right now, are perched on the absolute precipice of disaster. If he drops even a single stroke on Friday, he could be packing his bags. The tension is palpable, especially considering massive names like Jordan Spieth, Sam Burns, and former champ Brian Harman are currently outside this projected line. Friday isn't just about positioning for Sunday, it's a frantic sprint for survival. Now, with Rory teeing off in the much smoother, calmer morning conditions for round 2, you have to wonder if he can capitalize on that timing. He himself noted that the discrepancy between morning and afternoon scoring should flip for Friday. If the winds stay down early, it might just be the saving grace he needs to claw his way safely inside that cut line. He's got to take advantage of the softer greens before they bake out again, or his championship hopes will just completely evaporate. Ultimately, Thursday proved once again that golf is wildly, beautifully unpredictable. A struggling YouTube star armed with 3D printed clubs thrives despite hitting hardly any fairways, while the reigning Masters champion and heavy favorite stumbled over inches-long putts on dying grass. Right when you think you have this game figured out, it shows you something completely new. It rewards the unconventional and relentlessly punishes even the slightest loss of focus. So, as we head into the pressure cooker of Friday, who do you think will survive the cut and keep their championship dreams alive? More importantly, Thursday leaves us with a bigger question. If a player can shoot 67 missing 10 fairways with clubs that took 9 hours to print, while a generational talent gets derailed by 4-foot putts, are we witnessing a fundamental shift in what it actually takes to win a major? Keep that in mind as round 2 unfolds. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I can't wait to see how this incredible leaderboard shakes out heading into the weekend.